Hey, it's Rav. Welcome to Everyday Investor, the hottest investment show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. This show is all about helping you make money, helping you grow your money. You see, the problem is we take our precious time, we go to work, we make money in order to eat. We take our time, we go to work, we get a paycheck in order to provide. Imagine a life where money could make you money, so you could work a little less if you wanted to, and you could spend that time with family, friends, engage in a purpose greater than yourself. That is what we're trying to do here with the Everyday Investor. Remember, whenever you're introduced to any type of an investment opportunity, you always want to ask 4 questions. Number 1, what's the return on investment? Number 2, when do I get that return along with the money that I put in? 3, what is the minimum investment amount needed? And 4, what is the risk, the worst case scenario? You're in for a treat today. We've got a special guest. You want to know who it is? Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Everyday Investor continues in a moment. Coming up on Everyday Investor, we're going to hear from Costas Kivelos, and he's going to teach us how we can make money investing in pre-construction condos.
When it comes to an assignment, you can't advertise it on MLS because you don't own it yet. So you can't get maximum exposure. So when you can't get maximum exposure, you don't hit maximum profit.
The mortgage world has changed. Has your advice? Are you looking for a modern approach to your mortgage planning process? Advice tailored to your unique, ever-changing circumstances? Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, purchasing, or refinancing, the Kyle Ford Mortgage team works with individuals and companies to custom tailor the right mortgage product for you. Working with a wide selection of lenders, we're here to serve our clients and help them achieve their real estate and retirement goals. Contact the Kyle Ford Mortgage team today, Canada's mortgage choice.
Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to Everyday Investor. Before we talk about investing in pre-construction condos with my good buddy Costas, let's go to Omar Khan, where we can see what's happening in the world of stocks. Over to you, Omar.
Thanks, Rav. Omar Khan here, guys, with Beta Trading. Just want to recap the markets for last week. It was largely dominated by politics. First, Georgia Senate runoff races. 2 of them went to the Democrats. Now they control the House, Senate, and the presidency. What that means is it's easier for them to pass legislation through. Now, the markets mostly don't care too much about politics. And also, we had the very unfortunate events of the riots in the Capitol Hill in Washington. Now, again, like I said, the markets largely don't care too much about politics. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, is Apple going to sell less iPhones? Is Microsoft going to sell less subscription software? Is the world going to be fundamentally changed in terms of economics because of that? For the most part, the answer is no, and that's why the markets didn't have a huge reaction to it. And it's something the markets don't really care too much about. Focus more on corporate earnings. All right. Anyways, back to you, Rav. See you guys here next week.
Omar, thanks so much. Look forward to hearing what's going to be happening next week. Costas, thank you so much for doing this with me.
Thank you, Rav. It's always a pleasure. Anytime you give me a call or we get a chance to talk, it's a highlight of my day. And nothing I want more than to share my insight with the thousands upon thousands of people that are watching your show.
No, well, thank you. And thank you for being available. I know you're busy. You're with the biggest brokerage, I believe, in the nation. I know the principals very well. Howard's a good friend of mine. And, I hear from everyone that when people want to learn about pre-construction condos and how to make money, grow their money doing it, Costas is the guy to go to, not because he's got lots of muscles and will back you up if you have problems, but your wealth of knowledge. And so First Access Condos. Talk a little bit about the birth of that and, specifically what you do and how you help people grow their money investing in pre-construction condos.
Well, I've been in real estate for over a decade now. And about 5 years ago, I started bringing some clients into the pre-construction world to invest their money. And I quickly took a liking to it. And I'm a numbers guy like most of us in the investment world. And it was just a perfect fit for me because it was based on return. It didn't matter what color a wall was or whether you like the kitchen cabinetry or the countertop. And it was just a perfect fit. I just meshed into it immediately. So what I started doing was trying to emphasize my business and shift it over to the pre-construction world. And then First Access Condos was born. So what we started to do is we tried to develop an online presence and basically a business for the everyday person to get into the market, something that was not too complicated. We didn't make it something that sounded foreign. We didn't want to confuse people. We almost wanted to simplify it because investing isn't really that complicated. The goal of any investment is to put in the least and make the most. And pre-construction investing is basically the best tool in the real estate industry to achieve that goal. So that's what we did. And now that everything's evolved and we've had some great times growing, we're really at the forefront of our industry, I believe. And my role at Right at Home, which is the largest brokerage in the country, independently owned and operated, I'm essentially a mentor to over 5,000 agents, and I teach them the ins and outs of pre-construction so they can go out in the world and make their clients as much money as possible.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate that. And I want to talk about, even kind of the geography and where it works and how it works. And can you do this anywhere? Talk a little bit. I mean, we're going to take a break here in a few minutes and we'll go through some numbers. But, really simplify it. Costas, I love that you're a very simple guy. I am too. How does it work? How do we make money? Kind of just walk through a little bit how we can make money investing in pre-construction condos. And let's answer the first question very conservatively. If you were going to put, your brother or sister, mom in this deal, what do you want to see as a return on investment on an annualized basis?
Well, what I like to do is I like to tell the people that come to me for advice and want to be my client that I put my money where my mouth is. I invest my money in the pre-construction industry. That's what I'm the expert in. I think it would be crazy for me to do something that I don't know when I've worked very hard for this money, and this is the future of my family. And I share that commonality with a lot of the people. So what I tell them is what we've experienced and received, the returns we've received over the past 5 years, is for the vast majority of these projects, they're a locked-in 4-year investment. What we've seen is you have to put a minimum of 20% down. That's the industry standard. And that's what the developer, that's what they need to acquire their construction financing. So you put your 20% down, and by the time it's built and the building registers, you can sell it and get a gross return of, we've been averaging around 300%. And our net return is around 250, 260% over a 4 to 5 year term. That's a fantastic investment. So basically what you're looking at is 10% year over year appreciation on the purchase price, with 20% down works as out to a 50% return on your deposit year over year.
That's what you've been seeing specifically in the Greater Toronto area, just in Toronto. Where have you been seeing that? Where do you focus on?
We're focused on the center of the real estate industry in Canada, and that's basically the center of the universe is Toronto. But it's not just Toronto proper. What we're seeing is a lot of growth and expansion to the suburbs, which is some great opportunity for people that might not be able to afford $1,500 a square foot. We can take them to the suburbs where it's $800, $900, $1,000 a square foot. And then actually, because returns are based on percentage, they might make a greater return than downtown core. So people should understand that there's a project for everyone. And the key to this is, like any type of real estate, the 3 L's: location, location, location. So what we've been seeing and realizing is actual returns of 250 to 300%. And they're phenomenal returns. And the reason I love the pre-construction industry is you don't have to worry about being a landlord. You don't have to worry about paying property taxes, acquiring a mortgage, doing maintenance, none of that stuff. So it's really the least amount of effort. You cut 4 to 5 checks, and then the maximum amount of return once the project is built and registers.
I love that because, as an investor, it really should be about the numbers. It shouldn't be that, oh, wow, I love this street or I love this area. Talk a little bit about the exits. Are they selling them? Are they assigning them? Are they renting them out and keeping them long-term? What are most people doing?
Well, close to 80% of all pre-construction purchases are investors. And that shouldn't discourage people. That should actually draw them to the industry. And the reason is, if there's so many investors for a reason. That's because they are making good money. And what you see is the vast majority of them keep the product for a minimum of 2 to 4 years. That's what I like to call the sweet spot, the high point in the wave of appreciation, because a new product appreciates quicker than an older product. And around year 4 to 5, that's when you see a slight drop in appreciation, and you're not at maximum profit. As for assignments, they're the most misunderstood thing in the real estate industry. And we can take a whole episode of your show just talking about that, so we won't get into it. But buyer beware, caveat emptor in Latin when it comes to assignments. It's not the lottery ticket that the media has jumped all over with the shadow flipping and the speculation they've been talking about. And as for end users, we do have that 20% that are deciding maybe the nest is now empty, or they've decided to travel, or their job has relocated. And what they do is, I call it smart sizing as opposed to downsizing. Because in reality, a lot of people are realizing if you're living in a prime location, the majority of your time is spent outside the home. Where if you're living in the suburbs, you're at home because there's nowhere to go and you can't walk anywhere. So it's really a plethora of all types of investors looking for the best investment. And we have outperformed every aspect of the real estate industry for the past 5 years.
So let's go back to your favorite word, assignment. Explain what it is and why that shouldn't be your mindset if you're going to get into investing in pre-construction condos.
When it comes to an assignment, you can't advertise it on MLS because you don't own it yet. So you can't get maximum exposure. So when you can't get maximum exposure, you don't hit maximum profit. Secondly, assignments are not based on the price per square foot for an area. The rule of thumb on assignments is when someone calls me and inquires about an assignment, another agent, the first thing they ask me is, I want to see the purchase and sale agreement. And the reason why is they want to see the down payment my client put down to buy it. And what they tend to offer me is an equal amount of money in profit. So you have an example, loose numbers, $100,000 payment, you're going to get $100,000 profit plus your original down payment. Now that might sound fine and dandy and a great, it's a 100% return on your investment. But in reality of the matter, if you wait a year longer to close on the property, you can generate 250 to 300%. And here's the thing, assignments are not a taxable capital gain. Assignments are taxed by the CRA as income, which is significantly different tax implications. So maximum you'll pay on a capital gain is around 25% of profit. When an assignment, it could be 45 to 50%.
No, I'm saying, listen, you're not just a pretty face. I love having you. I love being educated. We're going to take a quick break and we'll come right back. We are getting schooled by my good friend Costas in how to grow money, how to make money investing in pre-construction condos. Don't go anywhere. Everyday Investor continues in a moment.
The mortgage world has changed. Has your advice? Are you looking for a modern approach to your mortgage planning process? Advice tailored to your unique, ever-changing circumstances? Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, purchasing, or refinancing, the Kyle Ford Mortgage team works with individuals and companies to custom tailor the right mortgage product for you. Working with a wide selection of lenders, we're here to serve our clients and help them achieve their real estate and retirement goals. Contact the Kyle Ford Mortgage team today, Canada's mortgage choice.
Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to Everyday Investor. We're learning how we can make money investing in pre-construction condos. Before we get back to Costas, let's figure out what's going on in the world of mortgages with Kyle Ford. Kyle.
Thanks, Rav. Today I want to talk about mortgage penalties. This is a mathematical decision, not an emotional decision. Many investors hear about today's exciting new mortgage rates. They call their bank and say, "What's my penalty to break?" The news is devastating. $20,000. They hang up the phone and are ready to wait out the remaining 3 years of their term because, frankly, they just don't want to pay the $20,000. Let's not stop there. The mortgage penalty represents the amount of interest you're going to overpay in your term compared to today's market rates. Ask your advisor to do a side-by-side comparison. Based on today's mortgage interest rates and the penalty, when am I going to recoup my savings? If the answer is month 20 and there's 30 months left in your term, it probably makes sense. That doesn't include if there's the opportunity to access additional equity or roll in any high-interest credit card, line of credit, or student loans. Please make sure you reach out to your trusted advisor and don't let the penalty be the reason that stops you from taking the next step in your investment journey. Thanks, and back to you, Rav.
Thanks, Kyle. Always great to hear from you. Costas, thank you for being on the show, and thank you for nurturing me, the viewers, those that are listening via podcast. It's always great when I have somebody who's an authority in their field. One thing that I love to talk about, and you're probably one of the only people, maybe a couple of others that are on the same kind of wave, is that cash flow. To me, it's overrated. And here's why with the conventional, buy and hold properties. Because if you're living in the GTA, you might be able to cash flow $200, $300 a month. If you have an up down, maybe $400 a month. Well, if the average Canadian salary in Canada is $50,000, and let's call it $60,000, you might squeak by in the GTA for one person. Well, that means if I'm cash flowing, $400 a month, I need 12, 13, 14 properties just to kind of get by here. You had a different thought, but around the same kind of mindset. Why does Costas think that cash flow is overrated, especially when it comes to making money in pre-construction condos?
See, there's been an illusion that everybody, the masses have been under the impression of for the longest time in our real estate market. I like to say the Greater Toronto Area real estate market has up until recently been an adolescent child. And now that we see increases in immigration, we're starting to mature into our teens, and we're still not into adulthood yet. And that can be seen by our property prices and our price per square foot. In all other major metropolises across the planet that I say are adults, those properties are all negative cash flow month over month, but they provide massive capital appreciation year over year. So in reality, what I like to tell people is if you can afford one of these condos, the vast majority of the time it may not be such a bad thing to take a minor loss month over month. Now, I'm not an accountant. That'll be for the bean counters. But what I like to say is if you can afford it, a loss might benefit you in the whole scheme of things when it comes to the CRA. So what we need to wrap our heads around is that in a city like ours, which is about to jump on the height of the world scale, and everybody's going to want to come here, we're the number one destination point for immigration in North America. Okay, our immigration numbers have just been increased by the Liberal government, which is fantastic to make up for the losses suffered this year. Out of 400,000 people a year, 60% are coming through the income and investment stream, which is 240,000. A large portion of those will come to Toronto. So we are experiencing around 100,000 to Toronto proper, 137, 140,000 year over year to the GTA. I forecasted on my webinar, COVID and the real estate market, back on April 3rd, that number is going to jump in the full year of immigration to 150, 200,000. And when we see that, prices are going to skyrocket. And for a little while, you're going to see that people will be saying this over and over again. Oh, it's so expensive. I'll never make money renting. Yes, but if your one bedroom is going to cost you $750,000 and it makes a 10% increase year over year, that's $75,000 a year. Do you really care if you didn't make $4,800 on rent?
No, it makes sense. What you're saying is, if you're using that number and it's conservative based on the past, here we are in 2021 now. If you're taking that same number, 750,000, I'm making, although not liquid, but $75,000 a year on that over 4 years. But let's just call the 75,000 a year, and let's say I'm negative cash flow $250 a month. So really, do I care about $3,000 a year if I'm making $75,000 a year? So walk us through, kind of like a real live deal that happened recently. Help us understand, the number. So where would this one be?
This would be just outside the downtown core, but in the core. So it would be still considered a prime location. I'm not going to name any projects. We'll call it Project X.
Okay, it's X. Nice. All right, so how do we make money here?
Well, we're going to talk about the bread and butter unit for all investors, and that is the one bedroom. So we're going to go a 453 square foot one bedroom, and we're going to peg it to use round numbers at $600,000.
Okay, so the buy is 600,000.
Yeah, and our down payment will be 20%, which works out to 120,000. So that's how much skin we have in the game.
Okay, so $120,000. Now, you said $600,000. We're using 450. Right now, we're buying at what per square foot?
Around 1,300.
1,300. Okay. 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 So this is what we're in for $120,000. We have a few bucks well, let me ask you, is there already, are we paying a lawyer? Is there any other costs associated?
This is what I like about pre-construction. The only thing you do until the project is built is you cut 4 to 5 checks, sign them, and give them to the developer's lawyer who holds them in trust. And that money is insured. And if a project defaults, you get your deposits back.
Love it. Now, Costas, do the phases matter? Because I know that the builders release their first batch, and then a second batch, and then a third batch. What is your thoughts on that?
Thank you. That is the most important question when it comes to pre-construction investing. There's a reason we're called first access condos. To maximize your return, you must buy in the first round. Some developers, when they have a AAA project, they can raise prices and go from first round in 1 week to second. And I've seen jumps regularly of 25 to 30,000 on a 1-bedroom in a week. And that's why it's important to the north. There's 52,000 realtors in the GTA. There's only 100 of us that are considered platinum with first round access. Per project, there might only be 30 to 50 of those platinums working it. So it is imperative to protect your money and ensure that you use one of those platinum agents.
So Costas, so basically what you're saying is you got to get in first round. You've got to be with someone like you who has a relationship with the builders, the developers. And you're saying you've seen from first round to second round, prices can jump $20,000, $30,000. So I'm already making 5% just within from first round to second round. How long is it usually?
I've seen it in a weekend, but it usually is around 10 days.
Are you serious? So if I get in first round on a $600,000 property, it's not uncommon for me to make 5% already on that jump within a couple weeks.
What happens is the developer wants the first round deal signed, and that usually happens in about 7 days after the units go out. The agents like myself, we usually get an allocation, which is our own batch of units, which we disperse to our clients of their choosing. After they sign, there's a 10-day rescission period mandated by the government of Ontario on all pre-construction purchases. As soon as that expires, they start round 2. On a project that's hot like fire, most demand project of the year, I have seen developers bypass that and do a significant price jump after the first weekend. But on average, you have about 10 to 14 days for the first round.
And that 120, that 20%, that's not given all one time. You said it's spread out, generally speaking, or is there a generally speaking when in terms of outlaying that 120?
There's definitely a generally speaking, and there's a rule of thumb, and give or take a few days, 10, 15, 30 days, but the rule of thumb is as such. To sign a contract, to make any contract legal, there has to be an exchange of funds. So when you sign your APS, your purchase and sale agreement, you give a check for $5,000 or $10,000. That's at signing. That's not cashed until the end of the 10 days, of course. Your next down payment is at the 30-day mark, and that's 5% of purchase price minus the 10%. Your third payment is around 6 months, and that's another 5%. Your fourth payment is around the year mark. That's another 5, bringing you to 15. And your final payment, bringing you to 20, is anywhere from a year and a half to 2 years. So whether you're a type of investor who's pulling money out of another investment or a HELOC that you have on your home, you can pull that out in a series of draws, which means you'll pay less interest or lose less return through that other revenue stream.
Yeah. Okay, great. So how do we make money?
Okay, well, what we do is we wait 4 years and we sit back and we drive by the land and watch it go up into the sky. And essentially, you're watching your money grow from a hole in the ground. And when the building is built and it registers, that's when you'll need a mortgage. And that's when you'll need insurance and the other things you would as if it was any other property. So what we're going to have is about $480,000 that we need to finance. And we're going to need to service that debt load. So at $480,000 with current mortgage rates, we're looking at a mortgage payment of around $1,900 a month.
Okay. Got it.
We also have maintenance fees, and maintenance fees are usually around 65 cents per square foot. So around 450, we're looking at about $300 in maintenance fees. HST is always on top of that.
$300, got it.
Then we're going to have our property taxes around $200 a month. We're going to have our insurance, say $130 a month. And then we're going to have our heat, hydro, and water, say about $120 a month. So it brings us up monthly expenses around $2,650.
What's utilities? What'd you say?
About $120.
Okay, so if I add these numbers up, what is it?
$2,650 a month.
$2,650 a month. Okay, and then therefore something like this would rent out for?
Pre-COVID, and there's three reasons that our rental market has dropped during COVID. One is lack of immigration, okay? It's down significantly. No foreign students, and we have close to 30,000 in the city of Toronto, and they're all renters, essentially. And no tourism, so the Airbnbs temporarily flooded the market. So pre-COVID, a one bedroom in the core would be around $2,400 a month.
$2,400, okay. So I'm getting rent of $2,400. That leaves me $250.
It's $250 negative, but
Yes.
It's $250 negative now, not in the future when it'll be built.
Yeah. Okay. So $250 negative now, but in the future, because obviously it's going to go up, rents go up. And so that's how I make my money. Costas, this is great stuff. We've got like a minute left. So keep going.
Okay. We were seeing 8 to 12% year over year increases in the Toronto rental market. If we take the median between the two and say 10%, over 4 years at a 10% increase year over year, we're looking at about $3,200 a month in rent. And that's a conservative forecast. Given the drop that we've seen of about $200 to $300 a month because of COVID, to recoup that, when we calculate it in, we're going to see about $2,900 a month, which means you're still $250 a month cash flow positive, which works out to $30,000 a year. It's not going to make anybody rich. It's almost the numbers we discussed earlier. But the reality of the matter, with the number of people that we're going to have flooding the city post-COVID because we weathered the storm better than any other place on the planet almost, you're going to be making a significant capital appreciation. So you're actually making money on both ends. And that never usually happens.
So yeah, basically, Costas, what you're saying is, on this particular example, we're cash flow positive, and we're making about, $3,000 a year, $250 a month times 12. But more importantly, or is equally as important, this $600,000, if we're making 10% a year on that, that's $60,000 times 4. So this new price is $840,000. Is that what you're saying?
$840,000 from 4 to 5 years after initial investment.
So I made a lift of $440,000, but I was only in for $120,000. Now I'm renting it out. You say hold it for a couple of years. Great stuff, Costas. Listen, our time is up here. What's a final piece of advice that you would give anybody? All your information's on the screen. People can contact you if they need to know more or want to be part of your client list. But what's one thing that you would say to people when they're thinking about getting involved, investing in pre-construction condos?
I'm going to quote Benjamin Tal. And Benjamin Tal used to end his seminars by saying, if you think it's expensive now, wait till later. We have a golden opportunity right now to make a significant return when the vast majority of the world is scared. That's when you take a risk and make a lot of money. I am extremely bullish on our pre-construction market. And that's why I think you should give me a call, set up a Zoom. Let me explain it to you when I have more time. This is a golden opportunity before our city grows up and becomes extremely expensive. Thank you, Rav.
No, thank you. Really appreciate you being on the show, Costas. And thank you for watching at home. Without you, we would not have a show. Until next week, same place, same time. Honey, I love you. I'll be home soon. Thanks, everyone.